Start the recording. All right, everyone. We are here live with Sean Thomas from Ask-A-Millionaire and Chris Frederick. Sean, thank you so much for being on here with us.
Glad to be here, man.
Yeah, I know you've got a lot going on and you're busy, and you've done some really cool stuff in the past, and now you're doing some awesome stuff with your page, Ask-A-Millionaire. So I suppose what we'll do is we'll kind of just have a conversation about you and about how you've grown your business to this size and how you've grown an audience of over 1 million people. And if you're not following Sean's page, Ask-A-Millionaire, it's a really cool page, by the way. It has a unique blend of like motivational stuff, but there's also some funny stuff and just super entertaining page to follow. So anyways, yeah, let's just get into it. Sean, why don't you tell us quickly a little bit about your background prior to what you're doing with Ask-A-Millionaire now? What were you doing before this?
Well, man, like the typical entrepreneurial lifestyle, it's pretty diverse.
Yeah.
So first off, let me just say thanks, Adam. I appreciate you having me come in. I appreciate you actually view me as somebody who is an influencer that would, give your viewers some sort of value and benefit from the experiences that I'm receiving while I'm out here on this journey as well. My background is pretty elaborate. I'm sure most of your viewers want to kind of know my business acumen and background, so they can say, okay, this guy with the buzzed head is actually somebody I need to listen to. So my background in business is in small business, starting small business, going through all of the trials and tribulations and ups and downs and twists and turns, and not only from the business perspective, but from the personal lifestyle part of it as well. I actually was the typical person that doesn't have the college education, so I was winging a lot of my earlier part of my entrepreneurial days of trying to start businesses, and I fell for a lot of get-rich-quick schemes, ones that we had, kind of the stuff that we see on Instagram and social media today, and I didn't know how to decipher who was legitimate or what type of person or program or book, or back in the day it was mailers and TV commercials. I didn't know how to differentiate what was something that was legitimate and what wasn't. So I spent literally, while I was waiting on tables and picking up odd jobs and barely surviving, and had an insurance career at the time of selling insurance, I was that typical person that was trying get-rich-quick schemes all the time. And I did that for about 10 years, from the time I was 22 to the time I was 32. During that process, just to kind of throw out a little bit of a sob story that we all love to do, claimed bankruptcy, had a car repossessed, almost had my house repossessed a few times. But at the age of 32, I started a company selling computer systems to hotels. I was an early adopter of technology where people that stay at a hotel, and a lot of your viewers have probably used these computers or at least seen them. When you stay at a hotel, they've got these computers in the lobby or the business center that you can use to check your email, print something out. Back in the day, it was just anything that you would want to use on a public computer. We call them kiosks. Well, I was one of the first companies that introduced that to the hotel space, and I was an early adopter that actually drove the initiative to do it. So I had that company for 11 years, from the time I was 32 years old until I was 43. But at 41 was when I resigned as CEO, and we put the company up for sale. Started the company literally with $500. Not that 500 was enough, but that's a whole other story. From the time I was 32 at $500, I took it to $20 million in annual sales, 100 employees, Inc. 500, numerous different business awards, mergers, acquisitions, partner buyouts, all kinds of stuff, to an ultimate sale for a little over $20 million on December 13th, 2013. Wow. So on December 13th of 2013 was a day literally that I achieved financial independence, 43 years old. Got a wire transfer. I've been very blatant. I believe in social proof. So it was about $6 million. Paid about $1.7 million in taxes, which was kind of cool. I actually just got a refund because they changed the tax code, and I got a refund last week of like $198,000, which was kind of cool. But that's my business experiences. I basically learned everything there was to know about small business, company culture, leadership, management, going through coaching myself, going through therapy myself, marketing, cold calling, building relationships with the biggest hotel brands in the world, building relationships with the biggest technology companies in the world, like Apple, Lenovo, HP, Dell, FedEx, UPS. Yeah. So I basically had to learn everything about growing a business from 0 to 20 million in revenue, which is a big gap. Once you get over 20 million, it turns into a whole different world. And this is where you hear about the CEOs on TV running big companies. You really become more of a financial CEO and learning how to manage teams and numbers, as opposed to being a founder CEO like I like to be, which is coming up with the product idea, coming up with the idea for the business and growing it from scratch. So at that point, that's why I decided to sell the company. Was it got too big for what my desire was as a company. So that's kind of what my business experience has been. So for your audience, I'm trying to say this as quickly as possible, but after I sold my company, I actually wasn't sure what I wanted to do next. You know, just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean you know what you're doing. So I had a lot of money. I took a few years off. I traveled the world. I rented a house at the beach and just relaxed. And while I was on this kind of hiatus, I started seeing Instagram being more and more used by these millionaire accounts. Mm-hmm. And I've told this story time and time again on podcasts that it kind of got me like, who in the world are these people that their life is all about the Lambo and the mansion, the cash, and living this lifestyle, but they never put up information about themselves. It was always a facade. And so it really kind of got under my skin. I said, that's not the only way that millionaires live. Mm-hmm. And I kind of come from the background of the millionaire next door, which is I have a very private life, but then I have my social life as well. So I decided to create an Instagram account. It wasn't a business. It wasn't anything. It was just on a whim. And I created Ask-A-Millionaire. And basically just let people ask me questions, kind of like what some other people do on social media these days, where they let you ask questions and they answer and what have you. But that's how it all kind of started. And I'm really competitive. So I wanted to catch up from a numbers perspective and an engagement perspective with all those other accounts that have been doing it for a year or two. So I started implementing a lot of the strategies that we all implement today on Instagram, which we'll talk more about. But that's how Ask-A-Millionaire was created. And then over the last 2 years, I have started a mentorship program. I now coach people. I'm developing some courses and writing some books around it as well. But that kind of gets us caught up to how we got here today.
Yeah. So 2013, you cash out big with your company and you're on this hiatus. And what year was it when you started in Instagram? 2015, 14?
Spring of 2015.
Spring of 2015. And this idea for Ask-A-Millionaire comes upon you. What was it like in the early stages? I mean, it sounds like the idea was just, hey, I'm an actual millionaire. There's all these guys that are flaunting it, but who knows who they actually are behind the Instagram profile. And what was it like in the early stages? Like, how did you get traction with that brand and how'd you get moving initially when you didn't, I mean, you started with 0 followers or did you buy an account or what?
Started with zero followers. I didn't even know how to do a meme. I actually didn't even know what a meme was back then. Because contrary to what a lot of people think and a lot of your audience thinks, I had never, ever used social media to grow my last company. And I grew it to $20 million and became a multi-millionaire in the process and never used social media. And there are so many companies today that don't use social media. It's just kind of this facade, especially on Instagram, that you've got to have this massive brand on Instagram in order to be a success. But there's a ton of entrepreneurs that don't. But, it started out just from zero. I came across a couple guys that one or two of them, I know you're interviewing for this, Tim at Daily Dose. We started to become kind of chummy. And I said, hey, Tim, why don't you help me grow my account? Because he was at maybe 50,000 followers at the time. And Tim was one of the early adopters of creating these shout groups and programs to help people grow their accounts. And so I paid them like $2,000, and literally within 2.5 weeks, my account grew 25,000 followers. Like I was their best test case ever. And I attribute that to, I was a legit millionaire showing my face, and Ask a Millionaire is a great name. Like people are like, what is this? Ask a Millionaire. What is this about? So it's intriguing and it gets somebody's attention, which is one of the first things we have to do when we're trying to utilize social media to grow our brand is you have to have something that's catchy that gets people's attention. So it's all been organic, with the exception of I made a mistake. One of my biggest mistakes in growing my Instagram account was I did buy another account. It was a motivational account. Actually, it was an inspirational account. And it had about 500,000 followers on it. And I had about 500,000. It was a time when I had about 500,000 organic Ask-A-Millionaire followers that were just from buying shouts and doing promotions and working 18 hours a day, engaging with the audience. I bought this account with 500,000 followers as kind of an account that I was going to use as a feeder system to sell shouts and promotions and then point people over to Ask-A-Millionaire. Then I was approached by this guy, I don't even remember his name, and he said, hey, I can merge those two accounts for you if you want to. And once you get 1 million followers, you can probably get verified. This is how naive I was to just the whole process of Instagram. And this is part of actually business, is kind of being naive to ideas and falling for things, and some things work and some things don't. And what are you going to do, cry about it? But anyway, so I paid him this fee. He ended up merging the accounts, which gave me, I think, like 1.4 million followers between the two. And then he couldn't get me verified. Then I started realizing, holy crap, what a mistake that was, because here now, all of these followers from this other account were now thrown into the Ask-A-Millionaire brand. And like literally within the first week, I lost about 200,000 followers. So I'm going, what in the world's going on here? So I'm telling Tim about it, and Tim's like, dude, it's normal. Don't worry about it. And it really took me literally about a year for my engagement and my follower growth to kind of just stop crashing and people becoming familiar with the Ask-A-Millionaire brand that got thrown into it. But for your viewers, let that be a lesson. If you ever have the opportunity to do something that's going to affect your audience tremendously, talk to you, talk to Chris, talk to me, talk to some of these people that you're introducing them to, and really make sure you're making the right decision, because it was a pretty bad decision. It took me a lot of time and a lot of money to just kind of level it all out.
Wow, that is crazy. And Adam and I were wondering this too. You know, just from starting the Instagram account, Sean, and moving forward with it, you know, after you've gone through those, you know, trials and tribulations, why did you see Instagram as such a big opportunity? And, you know, why is it still such a big opportunity, especially for yourself, who's already had massive success, you know, owning, you know, different companies, you know, being able to sell, you know, for millions of dollars and become a millionaire? Why did you go to Instagram, you know, for what business? And I know you kind of have a mentorship program. Kind of talk about that. Like, why is Instagram such a big opportunity for that specifically?
Well, this may or may not be something that you want me to say, but I didn't know any better. If I was going to start what I'm doing right now from scratch, Instagram would probably not be the place I'd do it. I would have an Instagram account and I would have a presence because I love live streaming, and Instagram live streaming is very beneficial to what I do. I like it better than Facebook Live. Okay. But Instagram is a really, really weird place when it comes to business. Instagram is highly dominated by people overseas, not even the United States. In fact, I mean, I would bet that the majority of my followers or majority of Instagram users are outside the United States.
You're right.
And with the nature of the type of account that I have, which is kind of mentorship and motivating, it's really not my target avatar, target audience. My target audience is business people. And people don't generally come to Instagram to learn about business. They go to LinkedIn or Facebook or conferences or something like that. They wouldn't traditionally come to Instagram. What I'm finding is there's this segment of users on Instagram that are kind of falling prey to even accounts like mine, but other accounts that are flashy in nature. And they're just kind of like I was in my 20s. And they're just like, who in the world do I trust?
Right.
So so, you know, I now use Instagram because I have a large platform and a large audience with it, but I'm actually using it more as a lead generation system as opposed to the place that I'm targeting my audience. You know, it's actually a very frustrating place to do real business because there's a lot of people on it that want a lot of help and they're lost. They have no money. They have no capability. So this, like, I'm just keeping it real here because, you know, this is my style.
Yeah.
For me to get one person to enter my mentorship program, which I priced at $10 a month for someone to have access to me, like most people charge hundreds of dollars a month for what I do. And you know this.
Yeah.
I have to probably speak to 1,000 people on Instagram. If I meet somebody in person or I go to a conference, I can talk to 10 people and 5 of them would sign up because it's real business people. On Instagram, I have to go through 1,000 just to find one person that will be like, okay, let's do this. So it's really frustrating. However, I don't know. There's something about Instagram that I like because I love, I'm a very visually oriented person.
Yeah.
So it fits well with my lifestyle of visual learning and visual teaching. And so that's why I like Instagram, but it's also kind of a frustrating space too.
Gotcha. So to interrupt real quick, to take a pause there, you talked about, when I was listening and understanding everything that you were saying, you talked about the Instagram Live and interacting with your audience, using, you know, Instagram is more of a lead magnet to everything that you're doing. The other thing that I think that's really cool is, you know, I don't know if you guys know this that are watching this right now or not, but Sean and I actually met through Instagram, which is pretty crazy because, you know, now that I think about it, you know, and Adam and I, like, we've met, like, you know, years ago through business, but Sean and I were able to meet through Instagram. So I see that as a huge opportunity. Now we've become, you know, really good friends and, you know, futuristic business partners on maybe some different things down the road. But I think that's pretty cool in itself. So, I mean, back to, you know, Instagram, talking about, you know, how you make it as, you know, a lead generator for yourself, and then to talk about the Instagram Live, because I'm always on your Instagram Live because I think you gain a lot of traction when you do them. You got a lot of people asking a lot of pretty cool questions that either are self-answered or you kind of hit them hard with being who you are and being real and being like, look, like, that's the wrong question. This is the right question to ask me, and then this is the right answer that you're going to get.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that's a great point, Chris, because, you know, I literally have 600 people now in my mentorship program. I'm talking people that are still younger, that are aspiring, up to a guy that's got $100 million business. And we all met, all 600 of us in 10 plus countries around the world, all through Instagram. Maybe a couple from Periscope in the original days when Periscope was the only live streaming application. But the majority of the 600 all come from Instagram. But like I said, I've literally, since the spring of 2015, I would say on average, I have spent anywhere from 6 to 18 hours a day, literally engaging with the audience and answering questions, posting 6 to 8 times a day, every single day since the spring of 2015, and responding and opening every single direct message, which I get hundreds a day. So it's just like the last business that I started. I was literally like B2B sales, making the 100 calls a day, you know, networking like crazy, attending, you know, conferences, doing sales calls, all that. With Instagram, it's the same thing. I've literally had to spend 2 years of my life. It doesn't matter that I have millions of dollars. I still had to do the same amount of work that I would with any startup business to be able to get just 600. Now, I started the mentorship program about a year and 2 months ago. And so 600 people in a year is a lot from a coaching perspective for anybody who has tried to do coaching or tried to build a subscription membership site. Getting 600 paying members is a big feat. and then it starts to snowball. So we're just now reaching this point where, you know, we'll go from 600 to probably 5,000 next year. Wow. Because once you get that certain amount of trust and social proof that people are getting value, then it starts snowballing, just like my last company did. But, you know, I literally have met some of the most amazing people like you and others just through Instagram. And I think it's because Instagram does let you see what other people's lives are about through pictures. And that's why Instagram, I think, will be one of the dominant social media applications for the future, because I think more and more people are more visually oriented than text, like Twitter.
That's awesome. So, Adam, I think that's something that we haven't heard before is, you know, why Instagram is going to be so dominant is, you know, what Sean just said, because people are more visually oriented. Talk about that for a second. I mean, what do you mean by just seeing pictures and people like just to see things more than hear things, or what do you mean by that?
Well, you get some of the, you know, you meet a lot of people that are very private, but they still have Instagram accounts and do love to share those pictures of whether it's food or art or their puppies or their animals or their kids or whatever. Instagram just seems to be the place that more people like to share, even if they might keep their account private, you know, certain people, but people are, in by and large, are much more visually oriented. That's why more people are using Instagram than they are Twitter. Twitter is and has been more text, character oriented, whereas Instagram was visual. And I think that's why it took over the number of users from Twitter way faster than Twitter.
Sean, you mentioned that you're posting 6 to 8 times a day, which I found after interviewing some of these bigger accounts is kind of a common theme. How do you come up with content 6 to 8 times a day that's engaging and, you know, somewhat original, if not completely original? What's the process for that?
Well, I'll tell you, man, there's a couple ways that you can go about it. If you're new, you have to learn how to just kind of do it on yourself. Now, I do it mostly instinctual. I like to give what my audience wants. Mm-hmm. And this is going to sound really freaking weird, kind of like law of attraction, think and grow rich type stuff here. But when you are using Instagram at the level and the intensity that I do, you recognize patterns and trends of an energy that goes on by the comments that people leave, because people leave a lot of comments, and the questions that I receive from a direct message. You know, I'm serious. It can be one day you can feel that the energy of the world, and I don't get into all the horoscope and stars and Mars and planetary, you know, movements that go on. But some days I literally just look at my comments and look at my direct messages, and I go, there's something going on in the world that people are happy, or there's something going on that people are like jacked up. And so I'll create content for that energy. And it sounds weird, but it's just true that, you know, that's how I create my content. Now, I've learned over time how to use software programs and platforms to create better memes, but I'm not a graphic designer. So as I've started to take the business of this more seriously, I've started to engage other graphic designers and videographers to really up the ante, if you will, on the design of and the look and feel of it. But I tell you, nothing beats something that's original and like a soundbite. Like you can just put it on a plain white background or a plain black background with some sort of text, and it can get you more engagement than a meme that you put 3 hours into. It's crazy. And that's kind of what's really cool about the virality nature of social media is you can do all you want to try to make something amazing that's going to go viral, but then you just do something that's quick and simple, and it's just easy to share and people love it. So it's like anything. The more you do it, the more you start to learn what works and what doesn't. And there are some times when I'll put out a meme and go, man, that should crush it. And it gets 2 likes. And I'm like, what? Now, not literally 2 likes. I mean, come on, you know, but I'm saying it might just get very little engagement. And I'm just like, that was like legit stuff. But it's like, you know, I don't know. It does get frustrating sometimes, but you know, I come up with content for my followers. I don't come up with content to push an agenda. I come up and say, what is my audience coming to me for? And I want to give them that.
Yeah. So I know for me, and I know I'm speaking on behalf of a lot of the people that are going to be watching this, the thing that we struggle with is like, we want everything to be perfect, you know, and a lot of people, I think it holds them from posting stuff because they're like, well, I want this to be perfect. I want this to get mega likes. And it holds them back. How do you get over that? Like that, I guess that feeling of like everything having to be perfect and just like getting shit out there. Cause it seems like after talking to all these people, the key is like really just getting stuff out there.
Well, it's exactly why I started my mentorship group. I'd say get in my mentorship group, you know, shameless plug, but I would say
shameless plug. Where could somebody do the mentorship?
So just go to mostwon'tiwill.com, mostwon'tiwill.com. And it's actually like on my wall over here, it's all over, and I'll explain what that means in a second. But, you know, there's a popular saying, just progress over perfection. Yeah. You know, that's what it's really about. And that's not my term. It's been around for ages, but progress over perfection. Remind me when you do this, Adam, for me to text you some of my earliest memes. Okay. And you'll laugh your butt off how horrible they were. Okay. So, you know, like I said, I didn't know anything about it. And so you know, but that's what it's about. It doesn't matter. Like I always stress, it doesn't matter how much money you have. Whenever you're learning something new, you're learning something new. And the easiest way to learn is from others first, which is why I say get a mentor, a coach, or an advisor that's been there and done it and learn from them. But if you don't have a lot of money to get that, then progress over perfection. Just do it. Yeah. Because here's the thing. When you're just starting out, nobody's following you anyway. It's not like you have millions of followers. So if you only have 50, 100, 200, 500 followers in the global spectrum of life, how many people are you really going to hurt? Nobody. Yeah. So you're going to learn by just doing. And there's such a golden piece of advice that I learned at an early age when I was getting into sales. My sales trainer just said, Sean, you're going to suck on your first 500 calls, but once you get done with 500, then you'll be better. So go ahead and just get started on the 500. And wow. It works with anything.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. Sean, what would you do? Say your Instagram account was to get shut down tomorrow. What would you do to build your following back up?
I would just go do the same thing. You know, here's that's a great question, Adam. Let me tell you why people need to understand what I'm about to say, because this is so vital in understanding this question. And it's not even a question of if your Instagram account was shut down. What if you were a Vine person and they shut down Vine? You know, it's called the hub and spoke approach to a business. You know, you got your hub and then you got your spokes, you know, your spokes that come up. Mm-hmm. Your hub, if you are a business, your hub should be your website, not Instagram. I understand that you can create a business on Instagram and make a lot of money from it, but you're right. If you put all your eggs in one basket, you're a fool. Mm-hmm. Your website should be your hub, and you should be using social media channels like Pinterest and Instagram and Snapchat and Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. Those should be spokes on the wheel of your hub, which is your website. And you should be constantly sending people to your website for more information and to engage, and building up an email list and engagement and attraction through all of your different areas, just so you don't end up losing all of it in one swing, like happened with Vine and what could happen with Instagram. Mm-hmm. So it's very important to understand that general rule of business, which is you want something that you own to be your hub, not one of your spokes.
Sure. Absolutely. How do you find the line between being, you know, overly promotional versus, you know, providing good content?
By making sure that the promotions that you do have value as well. Mm. You know, you can make sure that your advertisements and your promotions do nothing but extend the brand, because people shouldn't follow Ask-A-Millionaire to just get some comedic meme or whatever. They should follow. I want people to follow Ask-A-Millionaire because whether they're in my mentorship tribe today, next week, or a year from now, their goal is they're following me because someday they want to start a business or grow a business and they want me to be their mentor. You know, when I was in my last business and I was training my salespeople and they'd be on a sales call with a hotel because we were selling to the hotels, and they would talk to this hotel and say, I can't get this hotel owner to buy our product. And I'm going to say, don't worry. They'll buy someday because we're going to make it a mandate with their hotel chain and they're going to have to do business with us. So just be nice, be professional, because they're going to do business with you someday. So that's my approach with my Instagram is all I'm doing is saying when it's your right time to get in my mentorship group or become one of my customers, which is why I do Instagram, then you'll be ready. It doesn't matter if it's today or tomorrow or next year, but every promotion that I do for my mentorship group is just accentuating what the whole reason I'm doing Instagram is today. It wasn't in the beginning, but it is today when I decided to make it a business. I said, everything should be about getting people off of Instagram and focusing on their business. So now that you found me, great. Get in my mentorship group and let's get you working towards whatever your goals are, whether that's growing Instagram or growing your business, whatever it might be. So that's, to answer your question, to reiterate, the promotional materials that I do, I still want to provide value, not just be some ad.
Makes sense.
That's huge. So I've got a pretty unique question for you, Sean. And since I've known you, I've seen a huge growth in, not just your Ask-A-Millionaire page, but your personal brand, your personal page as well, which has definitely exploded. How would you say that, okay, so let's say I'm a new person, I'm watching this, and I don't have Instagram at all, but I have, let's say a clothing brand or some business that I want to create a separate page for, and then kind of tag team with my personal page. I've seen you kind of balance your Ask-A-Millionaire page to then redirect people to your personal page. What would you say to the newest person looking at that, and how has that helped your personal brand as well with, most, won't, I will, and then, fuck failure and all that good stuff. How would you go ahead and, approach that if someone were to do that from, ground zero?
Once again, the first phase of what I would suggest somebody do is they need to focus on their brand first. So once they have their brand, then they can implement the spokes and have a strategy around each social media thing. Now, as the owner of that brand, of that company, it's a personal choice, Chris, to decide whether or not you want to expose your personal life and build a personal Instagram page or not. If you choose to go down that route, what I've done with Ask-A-Millionaire is I don't want to put too much of the in-your-face stuff. I really want to keep Ask-A-Millionaire as the type of category of Instagram account it is, but I do want to share enough social proof of the person behind the account. So instead of saying, let me drown you out with personal information, if you're in, I'll throw up an ad, if you will, for my personal page and say, listen, here's the person behind the account of Ask-A-Millionaire. If you want to know more about me, come follow my personal account. And that's where I don't even consider my personal account like a brand, if you will. That's more me just sharing the behind the scenes of my life, the brands of clothing. I'm still unsure what I'm going to do with that personal brand of my personal account. But that's where I just share a little bit more about the behind the scenes, if you will, for the people that really want to get to know me as a person behind Ask-A-Millionaire. And I think that that's one of the attributes that has helped grow that account rather quickly over the last year that I've been promoting it, because it's just more about the people that want to get to know me. Because they embraced Ask-A-Millionaire so much, they said, if this person is doing Ask-A-Millionaire, then I'll probably, let me see if I like them as a person. And some people like me and some people don't, but
so
the ones that do decide to follow.
Yeah, so it helps build that virtual relationship, basically, from when they go to your Ask-A-Millionaire page to your personal page. And like, wow, Sean's like, totally cool guy, super badass. He's got some great things going on outside of his, Ask-A-Millionaire page. Has that helped convert you any business? Has it helped you, convert anything from your Ask-A-Millionaire page to your personal page? If people messaged you saying, hey, I found you, on Ask-A-Millionaire, and talk to you from there?
from an analytical perspective, I have no idea. I obviously get people that come over there and say, hey, I followed you on Ask-A-Millionaire. Great stuff, you know, all that type of stuff. But gosh, I'm not, there's no way to really track whether somebody specifically decided because they saw my personal account that they transacted. I mean, I would, if I had to take an educated guess, I would say yes, because people want that little bit of social proof that, okay, there is somebody legitimate behind here. He does have what he says he has. He is doing the things that he says he's doing. But unfortunately, from a transactional perspective, it'd be hard to ascertain exactly how many of those people did transact because of that. But I tell you this, you know, and I say this very blatantly in my mentorship group and on my live streams, my best friends, like all of my best friends, and I've got probably about 7 or 8 just guy friends that are my best friends that are all business owners. None of them are on social media doing personal brands. They all have uber successful, like multi-millionaire businesses up to probably 20, 30 million in revenue. None of them have personal brands on social media. None of them even really like social media. They all watch me and they all have accounts, but they all run successful businesses without that process. So that's why when I started this out, I said, it's really got to be a personal decision for the founder and owner of that company to say, I like social media and I want to do that, or I don't. It's really a personal decision. And, you know, I'm going to tell you this right now, whether people like me or you or anybody wants to admit it, it takes a certain amount of ego to want to be on stage in front of people like we do on social media. The people that you see that are crushing it, like Gary Vee and others and myself, and you, we like being seen. Yeah. We get a joy behind it. We can say it's altruistic and it's BS of I want to help people and blah, blah, blah. But there's a certain amount of joy and feeling we get from the attention. And there has to be people like us, because if everybody said, well, I don't need it, then you wouldn't have any singer or artist or athlete or anybody that does what they do. So it just takes a certain type of individual personality that wants it. And what's cool is there's lots of different personalities that don't want to do it and some that do. And the ones that do, you know, you got to be thankful that you do yours and I do mine, because we're out there sharing. And so it's a win-win for the audience, you know, and that's why it's a very personal decision. A lot of people ask me, hey, Sean, I have a brand. Should I be the person? And these are CEOs. Should I be the person on my social media? And I go, no, if you don't like to do it, have one of your employees be your brand ambassador. Hire somebody to be a broadcaster. Do you think that the person that owns CBS is the person that is the broadcaster in the news station? No. They hire professional broadcasters to represent their brand because that's what their career choice is. So it's totally a personal decision.
A lot of very good, valuable information there. Adam, do you have any other questions for Sean here?
Sean, is there anything, you know, before we wrap up, last minute things that you think is really important for people that are, you know, this is designed for people that are wanting to grow an Instagram following that we're leaving out? Is there any, you know, we've talked a lot of like philosophy and stuff like that. Is there any strategies or more tactical stuff that's really key that, hey, if these people would just do this, this would, you know, be a huge help? Or anything that you think?
Absolutely, man.
And I know
I would tell people that the first and foremost thing they should focus on is making money.
Yeah. Like
they should be working. If they are just learning how to do something and they're younger, especially, they should be working 16, 18 hours a day, earning a wage at a job, a part-time job, 3 part-time jobs. Money is what it's about. And let me tell you why. I don't care how successful you get. You need money to grow a business. Like, for instance, like I just did this on my Instagram stories today. I'm creating out of understanding my audience and the people that are getting my mentorship. I understand that people don't even know how to set goals today. It's like a lost art form. And so I said, so I researched all of the goal setting applications. I went and bought, $100 worth of books. I've spent over $1,000, $2,000, I think, on goal setting programs that are out there and applications and websites. You have to have money in order to do your research. So make sure you're making money first so that you can invest in your business and have the money to put in your business. And in that regard, if you're going to try to learn how to do Instagram, go buy almost every course you can imagine. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's crap, which a lot of them are, and I don't care if it's fantastic like this one will be. Go out there and buy every book, read every article, watch every video, get every program, because you're going to learn something from every single one you do. Even if it was crap, you're going to learn why it was crap and what not to do. Mm-hmm. So go earn money and then buy every book you can, watch every video you can, talk to every expert you can. If you're going to go all in, that's the only way to learn, is to go out there and do it. And you can only get so much information from the free stuff.
Yeah. I remember, like we talked about, people that don't pay, they don't pay attention. Yeah,
absolutely, man. 100%. I just can't even take anybody seriously when they said, I want to do this, but I have no money. I'm like, then you got no business. You just don't. You just don't, because I've been there. I've done it. I remember the 10 years, like I talked about from the very beginning of this call, the 10 years that I was struggling. I was struggling by choice because I didn't know any better. I was taking every dollar I would make, whether it was shoveling pigeon poop out of the projects in Memphis for $100. I'd take that $100 and I would buy a book, or I would buy some scheme that was going to make me a millionaire tomorrow. I was taking every dollar I made to put it into something that would teach me how to become successful. Mm-hmm. So do this. I would urge your followers and viewers to do the same thing. Always make sure you're earning the money while you're trying to learn to grow your business. A lot of people stop working and just go all in on things that aren't making them money. And then they're like, they have no choice but to stop whatever business they tried to start because they don't have any money to keep filling up the gas tank.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Chris, anything else, last minute questions you want to ask Sean?
Sean, I think the biggest thing, to kind of talk about how you've monetized, and I think we already sort of talked about this in the beginning, from what you were sharing about your story of getting on Instagram is, not just being like a hobby, but to get on and be an influence to people and provide a lot of value because you are a valuable person through your mentorship program. I mean, for the people watching this right now, how can they connect with you through that? I think that's a big thing because a lot of people that are watching this are like, all right, Sean's got it all in the bag. I want to do exactly what he did and follow those steps in that process. I want to be a part of that mentorship group. What value are they going to get out of your mentorship group that you're also sharing through Instagram for them to be following your pages?
Yep, and I want to talk about two things with that. But so if they go to mostwontiwill.com, you can join up. You're basically getting two things that are the most value. One is you get access to me. 100%, if you ask a question in the Facebook group, and I'm actually developing a whole new website platform that's going to be even more ridiculous, but if you ask a question, I answer. And I answer quick, like I'm very responsive. So you get direct access to me, 100%. You ask a question about a challenge or an inquiry or something that you're wanting to know more about, and I'm going to answer it. I'm either going to provide you an article, a book, a video, or I'm going to introduce you to somebody in my network or somebody that's in the tribe that can help you with what you're having an issue with. And that is insane value. The second thing is and has almost become even more valuable, is this massive tribe of people. I've built it upon everybody sharing their information and helping each other as well. So nobody sells each other. It's not like one of those groups where people are saying, hey, come check out my website. Come check out this book, whatever I'm selling. It's more about someone asks a question, and then I encourage anybody who has experience with that, which happens more frequently than not, to also chime in and share their experiences and how they overcame it. And so it's like the amplified learning that's going on and teaching and sharing is just so immensely valuable. It's not even funny. But let me put the business perspective into play here. Like, I have 600 members. So that means I probably have about, some of them paid a lifetime fee when I first started, but I think I probably have about $4,500 a month now coming in and recurring revenue from that business. That $4,500, I pay $2,000 to a social media manager, and then I probably spend the rest on contract labor, helping me put together opt-in pages and graphic design and video editing. So that business, even though I've been doing it a little over a year, doesn't profit me any money. Now, I'm fortunate that I have millions of dollars and I can afford to do this. So I am doing it a little more methodically this time around as a business. But even a lot of people say, gosh, if somebody has a million followers on Instagram, they must be rolling in the dough from Instagram. It is so untrue. That here's another takeaway for your audience.
Awesome.
Don't just judge a book by its cover. If somebody's verified and has 500,000 followers and they look great, especially all the fitness and models and things like that, and they have off the chart engagement, that doesn't mean they're making any money. And I'm not going to call out this specific person, but there was recently something that happened on Instagram where this person who was insanely influential, I mean, real, and I actually helped them, really influential. You would think this guy, with all of his engagement and followers and all this, wouldn't be putting together a GoFundMe to raise money for something. They would, and it wasn't even that much money in the global spectrum. And it was an eye opener for me, because I would have thought this guy could have had brand deals and all these things, but I'm going, wow. It was kind of an eye opener that don't judge a book. Just because somebody's got a lot of followers doesn't mean they have a lot of money or they're making a lot of money. I mean, I met with another girl yesterday here in Nashville who had hundreds of thousands of followers, great engagement, very attractive, very smart, hard worker. And she's making virtually nothing from her Instagram, like very little. So it's like, and she's coming to me saying, how do I make money with this? And I'm just like, wow, I would have thought that you were already crushing it.
Yeah, so I mean, and we see that, Adam and I see that all the time. And we meet people virtually where it's like, because I've grown all my businesses that I have just through Instagram the last 6 years. And I'll meet people like that have 1 million followers or 500,000, and they were like broke. And I'm like sitting here like confused. I'm like, what are you missing? Like, how are you missing social media could, be that revenue for you in return to provide those results? But they're doing, like you said, with what you've done through Instagram, it's about the activity that you're doing daily, the goal setting that you're getting, and those are the results after. If you don't do those right things, then you're not going to get the right results.
Well, here's the number one thing that they miss on, Chris. They don't have anything to sell.
Boom, there you go.
They don't have a product. They don't have a service, and they don't have a product that they're promoting and using Instagram to generate leads, to create traffic, to then convert on. They're just focused on content. Putting out content doesn't make you any money if you don't have something for somebody to buy. And there's nothing wrong with selling something to somebody. People love to buy. They just hate to be sold to. And that's the way, that's what you can do on Instagram, is learn how to sell without looking like you're selling, and people will want to buy from you. But if you don't have something to buy or sell, and you're spending 10 hours a day creating content and paying videographers and editing stuff on your own and graphic design this, and you don't even have a product to sell, in my mind, you're just wasting your time. The first thing you should do, like I said with your hub and spoke, come up with a product or service, create a brand, and then use social media to get people to your brand to buy your products and services.
Mm-hmm. Amen, brother.
Love it.
Hey, Sean, thank you so much again for being on here with us. I love your energy and just your realness, man. You don't get that in a lot of people. So thanks a ton for being on here. And I know everyone that watches is going to really appreciate that. So yeah, thanks a bunch for doing this.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it.
All right, Sean, we'll see you later, man.
All right. Take care, man. Bye. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Adam.
No problem.